everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
And Vince, we just passed 4,000 subscribers.
That's right.
And we'd like to say thank you very much to our viewers for helping us get to 4,000 subscribers.
Yeah, thank you to everybody out there. That's a lot of people.
It is. We just got to 3,000 not too long ago. We just had a big party for that. It feels like just a few weeks ago, back in August. And so it's not just a few weeks ago, but it feels like it. But anyway, back in August,
more like a few months ago.
we had this really fun 3,000 subs party. And once again, thanks everybody who came to that. And now we're already 1,000 ahead from that. And so we wanted to do just kind of something to celebrate that. It's another landmark. And so we decided to show you a little piece of our history. We want to preface this by saying that this is by no means whatsoever going to be the best thing you've ever seen from us. We're going to show you the very first podcast we ever recorded. So, so I guess show is not the right word, because you're not going to be watching it. It's an audio podcast. So let's set the stage for you. This was recorded on October 30th, 2008. And I don't just happen to know that. I looked it up, just so you know. I'm not that crazy.
Nerd.
This geek. This was just a few months after my wife and I got married. We got married in 2008, and we got married in June of 2008. And then a few months later, Vince and I decided to start doing a podcast for our blog. At the time, it was what was the name of the blog? It was Geek Speak, and it was for the website at the time was mygeeklife.net, which later became Geekvolution. And we've mentioned all this before on the podcast. We did a retrospective a couple months ago, so go back and take a look at that if you haven't heard all this before. If you
Link
care,
time, yay!
If you care, but anyway,
that'll make this podcast much longer if you go back and listen to both.
It will, but anyway, so we went out and we got a $10 microphone, and it's not the best sound quality ever. It also,
I forgot about.
Oh yeah,
around that microphone.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like it's really high tech stuff. And what we did is this was just supposed to be a supplement to our blog. We were doing text blogs at that point. Now we're not even doing any text stuff. Everything we do is video now.
Well, it's hard to put the text stuff on YouTube.
Back then it was all text, and it was its own website and all that. And anyway, so we were doing this as a supplement, and we had, after a few weeks, a total of 10 to 12 listeners total. And we never got any comments from anybody. I just saw the number of people who clicked on it, and we just kept making it. And we didn't even know if anybody was listening to it. All the way up to the point where we started making YouTube videos, we never knew if anybody was ever listening to us. And so,
are you guys out there?
And so,
it's so cold.
It'll be interesting that to have a whole lot of people, or several people, probably at least a few hundred, watch this, because we certainly never thought that many people would ever listen to this. So anyway, we just wanted to preface that, because this will not be the best thing you've ever heard. That's part of why it's fun. And this is mostly us talking about trailers for movies that were coming out at that point. And it's kind of interesting to listen to our speculations of things that were coming out, to see especially where we were wrong.
Yeah.
Because, well, you'll see. I don't even want to talk about it. You'll see.
These are a few of not our favorite things.
But anyway,
I'm tired.
Here it is. This hopefully will be interesting for you. So here it is. My and Vince's very first podcast ever. Vince, are you ready for this?
Here it comes.
All right, take a listen. Hello, everybody. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
And this is the very, very first Geek Speak podcast.
Yeah, that's a clever name. I didn't think of that.
Well, it's not real clever. It's the name of the blog, Vince.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. Well, somebody else thought of it, and that's the important thing.
Yes, good job, Ray Flanagan. Thanks very much. Well, so Vince and I are bloggers on Geek Speak, which is Geekvolution's blog, and I'm the guy who runs the blog, and Vince is my lackey.
That makes sense. I didn't even know the name of the blog, so what's that say about the lackey?
No, Vince is not entirely a lackey. Anyway, so if you've been reading the blog at all, you probably know I write mostly movie reviews and stuff about Star Trek and comics and things like that. And Vince is doing horror reviews.
Vince is primarily movie reviews, with the exception of one thing that wasn't a movie review.
Well, it seems like you've had a couple other things, but it seems like most of the time you just review movies that nobody's probably ever seen.
Oh, there's like 6 people in Hoboken, New Jersey. Somewhere out there. They've seen it.
Been to Hoboken, New Jersey.
Not that the people in Hoboken, New Jersey, they got the hell out of there. My apologies to Hoboken, New Jersey. It's a wonderful town.
So you did let's see. So you've done a lot of horror blogs, but you've also well, you wrote that I don't know, you wrote that piece a couple weeks ago about the comic who died. I didn't know him. But
he didn't die. It was just a review of his.
He didn't. No. You wrote one. No, you wrote something about
George Carlin.
Yeah,
that's right.
You did write
George
that,
Carlin.
and then but you also wrote a review about a comics recent.
Yeah, that's right. So I do other stuff than movie reviews. That's a good point.
And who was that again?
That was Frank Caliendo.
Right, and he does mostly
comedy.
Well, yeah, I know, but like impressions, right?
Yeah. The only
See, I read
comedian
the
in
blog.
my
Were you impressed?
Ooh.
I read it. You know why I read it?
The editor.
Yeah, well, I read it to make sure that you didn't mess up anything.
That's what an editor does.
Yeah. Well, anyway, because obviously I've never gotten any typos. So, what topics of conversation do we have today, Vince?
Let's start with upcoming movies, because me likey movies.
What movies are coming up, Vince, that you're especially interested in?
Well, one movie in particular, but we'll get to that one later. The Punisher Warzone. The other movie that I'm excited. This isn't really a good time of year for movies. And
There's nothing going on. I haven't seen anything since Dark Knight. I've not been to the theater since Dark Knight, and I want to say I saw probably 10 movies over the summer.
Mm-hmm. The summer was just one heck of a time for movies, but now there's one movie coming up. It released on the same day that The Punisher will be released, December 5th, and that is Cadillac Records, I think is the name.
I haven't even heard of that. What is it?
It's a movie about Chess Records, recording group. It's what do you call that? Obviously, I'm extremely informed for this, but it's there's a whole lot of different musicians that are being actual people that are being portrayed. Like Beyonce is playing Etta James, and they don't look anything alike. So it's going to be a suspension of disbelief, especially because they got the popular babe to play Etta James. But she's a good singer, and that'll be okay. Like Mos Def is playing Chuck Berry.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool.
That could be interesting. There was a TV movie a long time ago about Chuck Berry. I don't know if you ever saw that, but it was really interesting. I don't know when it was made. I want to say it was probably in the 90s, and I saw it around when it was made, which means I was way too young to watch that because it was kind of vulgar in places. But boy, I don't even know the name of it right now, but it was really interesting and kind of depressing.
Well, pretty much anything that has to deal with a music person biography is always depressing. Ray Charles, he was great. Guess what? A heroin addict and an adulterer. Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So, other stuff. You haven't seen Quantum of Solace yet?
No, I actually haven't seen any James Bond movies.
Oh, really?
Ever.
Okay, well, see Casino Royale because it was really good, and then go watch earlier Bond movies because they're nothing like that. But, well, we're kind of in the era of reboots right now, where everybody wants to start everything over, and so Batman got rebooted, Bond got rebooted. Sadly, Superman did not get rebooted, but Star Trek's getting rebooted. So Bond is getting serious finally. I mean, really serious, and I've been reading a lot of reviews of Quantum of Solace. I haven't watched it yet, but I'll probably try to see it this week sometime.
What are the reviews like? Are they approving or?
Last time I checked, Rotten Tomatoes, it was at 66% on the tomato meter, which is pretty good for a movie like that. But obviously that's real close to 50%. So there's a lot of people disagreeing with each other on it, and a lot of people are complaining that it's still not Bond enough. They don't like the fact that he's we got a Bond movie where we have to watch Bond soul search. And everybody's like, you can soul search on your own time, pal. We want to watch you blow up stuff, And I think,
God forbid we have any literary issues in a spy film, because those aren't real people at all.
Yeah, but then of course you get the regular reviews of because it's Bond, it's the characters are two-dimensional, and so the same people that are saying we don't want him to go soul-searching, he's James Bond, are I think a lot of them are the same people who are also saying, yeah, we also they're also two-dimensional, and there's not enough innovative storytelling in this film, and plenty of cars exploding and stuff, and they're saying that the shooting is very Bourne-esque, only you can kind of tell what's going on. But again,
didn't like the Bourne series anyway.
Oh, I loved it. Actually, really enjoyed it. The thing I like the most about the Bourne series is that it's 3 movies that were all made 2 and 3 years apart, but it feels like one movie, and I really enjoyed that about it. It never feels like it's there's a different direction going on. You could watch all 3 all at once, and it feels like one movie. It's cool because they didn't shoot it that way. You know, Lord of the Rings feels that way because they shot it that way.
That's true.
Do you see what I'm saying? But Bourne wasn't that way, and so it's really kind of neat. What didn't you like about the Bourne series?
See, what I didn't like about the Bourne series is that it was basically one extended chase scene, and that was pretty much all I got out of it. Okay, they're running again. Okay, somebody got shot, now they're running again. Now there's going to be dialogue, but they're going to have it while they're running. And why are they running? Apparently exercise is healthy. This is a movie for kids where people get shot.
Well, I don't know. I somewhat enjoyed that about it. But you're right. I mean, it's not the deepest movie. They're not the deepest movies in the world. But I don't know. I think my wife liked them a lot.
A lot of people liked them. A lot of my friends liked them too.
Sarah likes stuff where stuff explodes.
Boom! Yay! Cheer! We're gonna clap, guys.
I don't know. I liked it because it was, I don't know, it was edgy but not bloody. You know what I mean? Like it had a bit of a 24 feel, but it wasn't so in your face and like, I don't know.
I suppose in a day and age where torture porn is all the rave, it's nice to have something that isn't so garishly red.
Yeah, I did feel like it was escapist fiction. I mean, I did, and of course, obviously, these are novels that were written back in the 50s, 60s. I don't remember.
It was escapist. They were all trying to escape, hence running.
Yes, but you know what I mean. Escapist in the sense of I don't feel like I'm in the real world watching these movies, and that's true. And that's the difficulty with things like 24 and stuff like that, where they do hit too close to home. Even when all the terrorist activity happens in LA every season, and all of
in LA surely not.
And all of the most important stuff happens within a 24-hour period every time. But you know, besides that,
24. Oh, I get it.
You need to watch some of that, Vince. It's funny.
I should. I hear it's pretty decent.
Or not funny, but like funny. What's weird about it is I don't usually like that kind of TV, but I think it's just the format that gripped me. And I want to say I watched. I mean, I've seen all the way through season 6, and I mean, which is the last season that was made. And I want to say I watched all of it in about a year, because very often I would watch a whole season in 4.5 days. Where I get in the summer and I'd just be home a lot, and so I'd watch it all at once because
that's kind of impressive.
Every episode is a cliffhanger, and so I couldn't help it. I was watching them like 8 at a time. Because
there's more. Oh my god!
Yeah, because of course every episode is an hour of a day, and so there's no way to do this without it constantly being cliffhangery. And I've never watched the show while it was on. Like I always waited till it was on DVD, and so I can't actually imagine watching this week to week. I think I'd get lost.
They're going to come out with a movie and call it 48.
Well, actually, there is a lot of talk about a Jack Bauer movie, and I think it's supposed to happen at some point. But they're saying it won't be real time. If it happens,
it'd be for the best. We'd just be chilling, watching 24 hours worth of movies.
Well, no, I think what would if it was real time. I mean, if it was a regular length movie, it was like 2.5 hours, and it's real in real time. I'm just not sure how interesting this would be. You know what I mean?
Coffee drinking and toothpicking.
You know, nobody gets to have a cup of coffee.
Jack Bauer shaving. Hey. Gotta get the lather. I'm making myself laugh. What's wrong with me?
So what other movies are coming out? Obviously the best stuff is going to be after Christmas, right?
Yeah. Let's see what other movies are coming out. Real.
Well, of course we got like obviously Star Trek, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and then Watchmen, which is the one I'm really looking forward to.
Watchmen looks pretty good.
It looks spectacular, pal.
I was a little worried because Watchmen is such a big thing to undertake. I don't even know if that's the right word to use, but it's such a it's such a big project. It was almost a novel with, pictures.
yeah, exactly. And of course, Alan Moore made it saying that this is the graphic novel that you could never make into a movie, and then they're making it into a movie, which is why he's not involved in it.
And also, the
Have
director.
you ever seen pictures of him? He's the scariest looking guy in the
Alan
universe.
Moore is a creepy dude, and I think it's not so much. I don't know. I can't tell if it's.
This is not a guy I'd want to meet in a dark alley, man. I mean,
yeah. I can't tell if he is creepy or if he wants to be creepy.
Oh, one of those.
It seems to be just a little bit of an act, but then again, he is strange, to say the least.
Well, have you ever seen pictures of Ben Edlund?
I don't even know who that is.
The guy who created The Tick.
Oh,
and he worked on Angel, and he's worked on other shows too.
Is he pretty creepy?
He's kind of scraggly looking. I mean, I was surprised when I saw him, but if you ever listen to him in interviews and stuff, I mean, he's real well spoken.
Huh.
It's pretty interesting. By the way, speaking of, I know we're jumping all over the place, but speaking of Ben Edlund, you know that he like I said, he worked on Angel a lot, and I think he may have been one of the producers of Firefly. He worked closely with Whedon, and he wrote the puppet episode of Angel. he wrote, and I want to say he may have directed it, but I'm not sure if that's the case. But I know he wrote that screenplay, and that's part of why it's like the funniest episode of that series. If you think about The Tick, and then you think about Smile Time, I mean, it's hilarious.
It is. Oh my goodness.
Anyway, we were talking about Watchmen.
Yes, Watchmen. The trailer looks fantastic. It absolutely does.
Well, have you seen the new one? The new trailer?
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's with Quantum of Solace, and it's on YouTube right now. And I watched it the other day. You should take a look at it. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit next week. But yeah, it's cool.
The thing that's got me worried about
it's extended. It's like a 2.5 minute trailer. Yeah, it's pretty long. So
the thing that's got me worried about Watchmen is well, I'm going to pull the old trump card out of my hat, the one that I always talk about whenever I get worried about Watchmen, but it's directed by the guy that directed the remake of Dawn of the Dead, which, if you've seen it, is craptastic. It is just so incredibly bad.
Yeah, and I know you don't like 300, but he also did 300.
Yeah, and it was very stylish, but that's not his doing, it's his team.
Yeah, but he can still direct a movie. I mean,
yeah, and I'm not saying it's going to be bad.
I like
300
a lot. I don't want to get in an argument about this, but I did.
Let's fight.
I really enjoy as much as there was no plot to be had. I sure enjoyed it. Yeah. Silent.
Like there's going to be a thought following yes, and it didn't come out.
Yeah. I don't know, Vince. I think it's. Looking at the trailers, either it's gonna be that good of a movie, or somebody knows how to make a really good trailer out of a really bad movie.
Yes.
I can't imagine how something that looks like that could be bad. And the other thing I want to talk about with Watchmen is, do you get the impression that it's gonna be less violent than you might have expected?
Maybe a little, but then again, not necessarily. It could be very comic book style violence, kind of like 300, where everything
right, or Sin City. But taking a look at that again, you need to see that new trailer. But I mean, looking at it, I don't know. It's got a bit of a obviously more fantasy-esque stylized. It reminds me a little bit of Begins and Dark Knight. In the way it's being shot. And
it kind of needs to be though.
Yeah. And of course, I think it's got an R rating. I don't know if they've even come out and said what the rating is. I'm sure it will, or at least that was my expect.
There's even nudity in the comic books.
That was what I was expecting. Yeah. But see, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure they're going to go as far as the comic did. I'm not sure there's going to be any nudity in it at all.
I doubt they will.
I don't think there will be, and I wonder about language and stuff. I mean, the graphic novel has quite a bit of language in it too, if I remember right. But
yeah, the graphic novel I thought was interesting. The idea of turning that into a movie, because there seems to be parts of the graphic novel that are just radically different in tone, and it seems like there's parts where are a little noirish, with dealing with Rorschach, and then there's parts that are very fantasy, dealing with Dr. Manhattan, and then of course you have this Vietnam Oliver Stone type of feeling with the comedian.
I see. So it's almost like 3 or 4 entirely different genres being done at once.
Yeah, and the
You've got all
movie
these
looks like it's
different
not
styles.
going to be done with the various different styles. It looks like they're going to focus on that
A
Dr.
little
Manhattan
similar
fantasy.
to that. That's a little similar to that Poe novel we just read.
Yeah.
Where Vince and I are in a class together. By the way, Vince and I are English students at KU. In case anybody cares, I'm graduating next semester.
Yay, go English.
Well, anyway, Vince and I are both writers and trying to eventually make it in that world. And we're in an American Lit class right now. And the novel we just finished reading was Poe's
Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym.
I almost said Edgar Huntley, which was the other novel we read. No,
Charles Brockton Brown's The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Huntley.
Anyway, so we just read the narrative of Pym, and it's interesting because it's kind of in 3 parts, and each part is almost a different mode, which you could do back then and can't really do so well now. You know what I mean? Everybody wants everything to be very
Cohesive and tone solid. It's got to be one tone.
Cohesive is the word I was looking for. Well done. But yeah, so the beginning of it is like this sort of actiony adventure thing, and then the middle of it is kind of a, what am I trying to say? It's a sailing narrative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's travel narrative, and then the last part is bordering on science fiction before there was any science fiction, and there's a bit of that going on in Watchmen.
A little bit, but I think Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, the artist, managed to mesh these various different styles all together.
I wasn't even thinking that when I read it, but now that we look back on it now, I'm kind of seeing where you're coming from. But yeah, before I felt like it was pretty cohesive.
Which is kind of funny considering that I think Alan Moore wrote The Watchmen and said here and just handed it to Dave Gibbons, and Dave Gibbons said, "All right, cool. I guess I'll draw it then."
Oh yeah.
I think he handed it to him and said, "I don't want to have anything to do with it."
What do you think of the art in Watchmen?
The art in the movie or the art in the comic?
No, in the original graphic novel.
I think the art in the original graphic novel was one. I think it's fantastic. Dave Gibbons does good work. 2, I think it's interesting because it's almost not I don't know. I don't want to say it's not creepy at points, but it's very not Alan Moore-ish. If you've seen Alan Moore, he looks creepier than any character in the comic book.
Does Alan Moore do any drawing?
I don't think so. I don't think he does. If he does, I'm sorry, Alan Moore. But still.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I felt like there were places in it where I felt like the drawing was a little too simplistic, and then there'd be like a giant full-page spread that was just incredibly detailed. Mm-hmm. That was really pretty, and I'm especially thinking of. I haven't read this in a couple of years, and so there are definitely places I'm not remembering. But the thing that sticks out in my mind the most, as far as those full-page spreads go, is the owl's ship.
Oh yeah.
You remember that? And they had that big spread where it comes out of the water and the water's dripping off of it. I mean, like, that's one of the prettiest images in the whole novel.
And I think they have that in the trailer as well.
Yeah,
for the movie.
it's in there, and it looks just like that.
Which, between that and Dr. Manhattan's, his split personality, we'll call it, we in the theater, we meaning my brother and I, who were watching the trailer during Dark Knight, went, "My God, that's beautiful."
Yeah, it was.
It was just astonishing. The hair on the back of my neck just stood up. I was tingling all over.
And of course, I've never heard Smashing Pumpkins used better.
That's true. I didn't realize that was Smashing Pumpkins. It was a great song choice.
That was well, and what's funny is I don't know if they got them. I don't know if they like re-recorded it or if they somehow remixed it or something. But it's slower than the actual song is. The song is moves at a faster clip. It's like twice that fast. And they slowed it down and they took out all the crazy drum stuff in it. And anyway, that's the end is the beginning is the end, which was in the Batman and Robin soundtrack. So I mean, they took a song from 10 years ago. That was 1998, I want to say. And
it sounded contemporary.
Yeah, it did. But they slowed it down and it worked a lot better. And the music, I don't know anything about it, but the music in the new trailer is really good too. And going really well with that. So, what are you laughing at?
Oh, I was just laughing, remembering Stephen Lynch. What if the guy from Smashing Pumpkins lost his car keys? Stephen Lynch is a singing comedian. If you haven't heard, it's totally worth listening to. Some of it's dirtier than the rest of it, and not quite as funny. But he has a lot of great original stuff. In fact, if you can buy an album, buy his live albums, because his studio albums kind of suck.
Oh, really?
They do. The studio albums, there's no energy. It's just Stephen Lynch singing into a mic, and you really find that Stephen Lynch is in his element when he has a crowd in front of him, because he really feeds off that energy.
Yeah, well, some people get really nervous by themselves next to a microphone.
They do.
Kind of like you.
There's a microphone in front of me. I'm all scared and stuff.
Well, we've really only got a couple minutes left, and we didn't get through like anything on our list, so I guess we'll do some more stuff next week. But we kind of got all into Watchmen and stuff. Yeah, we've still got Chuck and stuff to talk about. We'll do that next week.
Chuck the TV series. There's not a guy we know named Chuck.
yeah. There's this dude right next. Anyway,
Chuck Brockton Brown.
Vince, why don't you do your 2-minute rant for the week?
All right. Here's my 2-minute rant, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a big Punisher fan. I have been since I read Garth Ennis's first appearance writing Punisher. It was fantastic. The Welcome Back Frank stuff. It was great. If you haven't read it, read it. Everything that he's done on Punisher is completely worth reading. Now, the movies is where I'm starting to go a little bit waning on my faith in the Marvel U. And because most people have seen the most recent Punisher movie, and I'm sure somebody out there has probably seen the 80s one that came out at the same time of Batman. Now, the new one has a whole lot of faith that people are putting into it. They really want it to be good, and, well, Punisher fans as far as we go anyway. And I had a lot of faith in it too. The trailer looked fantastic until I saw one moment of Jigsaw. And ladies and gentlemen, it scared the pants off of me. And I will do my impression of Jigsaw for you, and maybe it'll scare you as well. The Punisher's not the only one who can take the law into his own hands. And he's tucking his head down, he's looking at the ground, he's sticking out his chest like he's some creepy, and I don't mean creepy as in creepy Alan Moore frightening, I mean creepy as in why are you even doing that, you common thug-looking freak, to put it bluntly. And not even freak because he's boogered up with the facial scars. This is frightening, and I'm worried about my new Punisher movie. I want it to be so good. But there's my rant for the week.
Alright, my 2-minute rant of the week. You alright there, Vince?
Tipped over your bag.
Okay. Anyway, so my 2-minute rant of the week is also just frankly about a trailer. See, there's no movies to watch right now, so we're just going to talk about trailers this week. Okay, my 2-minute rant this week is about the new Star Trek trailer. Like I said, I didn't get to see Quantum of Solace, but I watched it on YouTube, and the new Star Trek trailer looks kind of good. What's really funny about it is all we really get, for the most part, is the same stuff as the few snapshots we've gotten so far. So, like, Paramount gave us 5 or 6 promotional shots, and they made sure that every single one of them was in the trailer, so I didn't feel like I was getting a lot of new information. But some of the new stuff I got was that apparently James T. Kirk rides a motorcycle, and apparently he also drives cars off of bridges when he's in his teens, and that's really strange to me. He's in this classic car, and he drives it off of, and then he gets up. I don't know exactly what is supposed to happen in this scene, but like, this is how they start the trailer. Okay, it's like this. I don't know if it's a Porsche or what, but it's this classic car, and it's driving down the road really fast. And as soon as I started watching this, I thought that whoever put it on YouTube had messed up. I thought it was a trailer for a different movie, because I've never seen that in Star Trek, right? And then this kid gets out, and he's got this really kind of high-pitched voice, and he's like, and there's this weird-looking guy with a helmet who's like, "Who are you?" And then he goes, "I'm James Tiberius Kirk!" And I'm like, wow, really? Anyway, so obviously the new Star Trek movie is a reboot, and it's not in exactly the same continuity that we all have known and loved, and I'm okay with that as long as it's good. I also still kind of wonder where exactly Leonard Nimoy is coming in all this, and I think that it's supposed to be some time travel stuff. Some old Spock goes back in time to help young Spock stop a Romulan from destroying Earth in the past, which is a rumor going around right now, but I'm pretty sure that's probably what they're doing. And so I still kind of wonder if it is a real reboot or if it's going to be a reboot of original continuity rebooting itself, and so all of the new stuff is because of crazy time travel. And so I wonder if it's not going to be, instead of just a prequel, but a sequel that takes place in the past. And I still really hope that's the way they end up going. And then they can change anything they want to, and I'll be okay with it. But Kirk on a motorcycle and driving a Porsche is weird to me. Okay, I'm done. I mean, that was probably longer than 2 minutes, but
I don't care, because that's pretty funny. Kirk cruising the babes.
It was weird, and he drives his motorcycle up to where they're building the Enterprise. They're building the Enterprise on Earth, which has got a lot of fans all freaked out. They're like, the Enterprise was not built on the planet, it was up in space. And I'm like, I don't really care about that very much. It doesn't really bother me, but Kirk riding a Harley kind of does. It's a little different, And I don't know. I guess the idea of James T. Kirk being this kind of, I don't know if he's supposed to be a rebellious teenager, or if he's just a thrill seeker. Kirk being a thrill seeker when he's a kid is it makes sense to me. That's not so weird. But why does he have to do it on 20th century?
You would think that if they have the technology to boldly go where no man has gone before, they would have boldly found some new source of fuel.
Yeah, and when I told my wife about it, I think it was Sarah who said this. She was like, "Well, does the motorcycle at least hover?" No, Sarah. It kind of looks like a Harley.
A hovering motorcycle with wheels. That's fascinating.
Well, that is all the time we've got for this week, Vince.
It's probably for the best anyway.
So we'll see everybody next week. We'll be doing this at the same time, and thanks a lot for listening.
Thank you, guys.